name is Marta Escudero, and I'm part of Reclaiming Our Homes. I was couch surfing for over a year with two of my daughters, and we were like in a desperate situation too, because I had already worked with moms providing resources, a lot of low-income moms that were living on the streets or in shelters, and I know like the process is super long and very traumatic. Here in El Sereno, they were planning to build a freeway, and the community fought against the freeway expansion to this area because it will bring a lot of pollution. And so they fought against it for many years. Meanwhile, Caltrans took a hold of a lot of homes. Actually, there's 80 in El Sereno, and close to 200 in total that they took, including the cities of Alhambra and South Pasadena.
California has the largest homeless population, certainly unsheltered, in the country, and there's an overrepresentation of Black residents and Black families among the homeless population in the region. I mean, the state Department of Housing and Community Development estimates that the state needs to build about 180,000 units every single year in order to keep pace with population growth, folks having babies, immigrants coming into the country, things like that. And we've barely hit those targets really ever, only a few times going back to 1990.
The housing crisis is really global, and we see it manifest a lot in California. I mean, a lot of it ties to the history too of redlining, of where certain groups can live and other groups can't. And so in any city, when we look at it, there's always history of why people have ended up living in certain neighborhoods and communities. And usually it's the poor and the ethnic populations that end up living in the worst and most at-risk environments.
I feel like if somebody can't produce as much as I do, that's okay. They still deserve to be treated like human beings, and they still deserve a home. And not everybody can produce as much as others, and that's just realistic. And that's really ableist as well, like that. And it's sad because I see a lot of elders that are unhoused now because they stop producing and they don't earn enough to even rent a home. There's 3 vacant homes per one unhoused person. We have abundance and surplus of resources and houses that are empty, that are underutilized or not utilized. And so on March 14, 2020, a group of us took these vacant homes because we were either underhoused or homeless in different ways.
This morning in El Sereno, housing and homeless activists gathered at a vacant home to reclaim it.
Tense confrontations in El Sereno where officers evicted squatters from vacant homes owned by Caltrans.
My family was a Caltrans tenant. We rented a house from Caltrans. And so we were invested in tenant rights and making sure that Caltrans, who's a slumlord, that they did what they're supposed to do. They only did it under pressure. There was about 12 others that were part of what we call the first take. We were only able to take one house, but the following days we took as many as 24 houses, but we lost some.
One of the despicable things the state did is they had the highway patrol there 24/7, parked in the driveways with their vehicles running 24/7. You know, so the state wanted to talk about how disruptive this was to the neighborhood of El Sereno. Nobody was more disruptive than law enforcement.
Ultimately, a deal worked out after these folks seized these homes, where the Caltrans would lease some of the properties, the best conditioned properties, or some of the better conditioned properties, to the Housing Authority of the City of Los Angeles. And the Housing Authority would then use these properties for 2 years to allow them to be temporary housing for some of the reclaimer folks and then other individuals who were housing insecure.
We made the mistake of signing this contract, and now we're facing the consequences. But I still feel people could change their minds in all these things. Like, I don't think anything's written in stone, and not even like contracts.
We deeply, deeply believe that housing is a human right, So that's the real crime. And to add the crime is the complicity of all the politicians. Have they helped? No. They're obsessed with power, the power of control, the power of controlling these houses, and not have the community, any community initiative.
I would say that the power and the money just corrupt. You know, these career politicians who just are interested in filing report backs and, platitudes, they have no real plans. And the dirty little secret is there's a ton of money to be made in poverty.
So I think that there's always fear of activism, because it represents fear of change. But I think the solution in this case, as a sociologist, what I would say, the solution is having authentic conversation, having respectful engagement, and recognizing that we have to throw stereotypes out the windows.
Change of this magnitude is never made quietly, with writing policy with legislators. It's made by people making big, bold moves.
So politicians did not help at all. They're not helping at all. And so right now we're developing what we call a land trust. El Sereno Community Land Trust has been developed and working very well. Giving the houses to HACNA makes no sense when you have something better, when you have a community-based organization that can facilitate the effective management of these houses.
I see Reclaiming Our Homes being part of that movement of reclaiming our relationship with the land here and having these homes available for more families, having them be opened up for people that are the most vulnerable people and need that help. Why are we killing ourselves and each other when we could actually create something better for everyone?